Welcome, brave souls, to the fire's flickering light, where shadows dance and whispers of the unknown drift on the wind. I'm Sam Hain, your guide through the eerie tales that haunt the darkest corners of your imagination. Tonight, we gather around the flames to uncover stories that will chill your bones, make your heart race, and keep you looking over your shoulder. From ancient legends to ghastly encounters, these tales are not for the faint of heart. So, stoke the fire, lean in close, and prepare yourself for a journey into the realm of the strange and the sinister. Are you ready to be afraid? Let the storytelling begin. The Scottish Highlands stretched vast and wild beneath the bruised twilight sky. Wind a biting chill against the skin of four friends venturing deeper into the untamed countryside. Halloween night. The land itself seemed to breathe, exhaling the mist that clung to the earth like pale, grasping hands. Why did we come out here? Isla's voice was barely above a whisper, her breath misting in the cold air. Her eyes flitted nervously over the landscape, open moorland dotted with twisted, ancient trees. She pulled her jacket tighter, feeling the oppressive weight of the darkened sky pressing down. Because it's Halloween, Lachlan replied, his tone meant to be reassuring but tinged with doubt. And because we don't believe in stories, right? He laughed weakly, but no one joined him. The ground beneath their feet was soft, soaked from recent rains, squelching with every step. Each footfall felt like a violation of some unspoken rule, as if they were trespassing on something that had lain undisturbed for centuries. The Calyard, Alistair muttered, under his breath, his eyes constantly scanning the distance. The old woman of the hills. She guards these lands, they say, hates intruders. Just a myth, Fiona said, her voice steady, though her eyes betrayed her. Stories to keep people from wandering too far. But there was something about the way the land seemed to breathe, about the shadows that moved even when the wind didn't blow. That made it impossible to shake the feeling that they weren't alone. As they pressed on, the wind suddenly died, leaving only the eerie silence of the moors. Even the usual sound of nature, birds, distant streams, had faded away, swallowed by the thickening mist. The world had become a dull, muffled void, and with it came a bone-deep sense of wrongness. Do you feel that? Isla whispered, her voice barely audible. Her breath quickened, her pulse hammering in her ears. A chill, colder than the night air, crept along their spines. It wasn't just the wind, it was something else, a presence lurking, watching, waiting. Lachlan stopped, staring out into the mist where the rolling hills dipped into shadow. He could feel it now too. Something just out of sight. Something moving. Then came the smell. Faint at first, but growing stronger with each passing second. A sickly sweet stench of decay, of rotting vegetation and damp earth, curled into their lungs, clinging to their senses, making their skin crawl. You smell that? Fiona asked, her voice thin with growing dread. Alistair nodded, his jaw clenched. We need to go back, now. But as they turned to retrace their steps, the mist seemed to shift, thickening, swirling unnaturally fast. The path they'd come down had vanished, swallowed by the creeping fog. We're lost. Isla's voice trembled. No, Lachlan insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. He fumbled with his flashlight, flicking it on, but the beam barely pierced the suffocating mist. The light seemed to shrink as if the fog itself was swallowing it. Sound. Low. Guttural. Not quite a growl. Not quite human. They froze. What was that? Isla whispered, fear slicing through her words. The silence that followed was too perfect, too heavy, like the world was holding its breath. Alistair's voice was low, almost desperate. It's not far. We need to move, now. They began to walk faster, their pace turning into a half-run. Every step felt like a gamble with the darkness, the land itself seeming to rise up against them, thick heather tugging at their feet, slowing them down. The growl came again, closer this time, rippling through the fog like a shudder. It wasn't just one sound now, there were many. Whatever was out there, it was circling them. Isla let out a choked gasp as something rustled in the heather beside her, moving fast and low to the ground. She stumbled, grabbing at Lachlan's arm. Don't stop here, his own fear cracking through his voice. But their flight was frantic, their direction uncertain. The mist was everywhere, warping the landscape, making every turn look the same. Then came the scraping, unmistakable sound of claws dragging across the rock. Close, too close. They broke into a sprint, their breath ragged, hearts slamming in their chests. The path ahead seemed endless, no sign of the way they had come. The mist swallowed the world whole, leaving only the oppressive weight of the night and the creeping sense of being hunted. Fiona screamed. It was high and sharp, piercing the air as something cold and slimy brushed against her ankle, yanking her down. Lachlan turned just in time to see her vanish into the mist, her hand outstretched toward them before she was pulled out of sight. Fiona! Alistair shouted, but his voice seemed to fall dead in the air. No echo, no reply, just the soft sound of the mist closing around them. We have to go back. Isla's voice was hysterical now, but Lachlan pulled her forward. Keep moving. He barely believed the words himself. Alistair lagged behind, panting, scanning the swirling fog. Can't leave her. Then the creature emerged from the mist, a silhouette in the half-light. Tall, hunched, its limbs too long, too misshapen, the eyes glowing like burning coal, set deep into its gaunt, skeletal face. It didn't walk. It crawled with a horrifying speed, the bones in its body crackling with every twitch, every unnatural movement. Alistair didn't have time to scream. Lachlan grabbed Isla, dragging her forward. His legs were heavy, burning, but the creature was faster, too fast. He could hear his breath, ragged and wet, right behind him. They breasted a small hill, the ground falling steep beneath their feet, sending them into a tumble. As they landed, bruised and gasping, the fog began to lift slightly, revealing a dark figure standing at the edge of the moor, old, cloaked in shadow, with eyes black as the abyss. The Callion. Lachlan's blood ran cold. She raised a hand, and the creature froze, still as stone, before melting into the mist, leaving only its foul stench. But the relief was short-lived. As the old woman stepped toward them, the land beneath their feet began to crack and split, swallowing them into the earth below. The wind howled once more, carrying with it the whispers of ancient hills and the sound of the hunt resuming. As the mist closed in and the whispers of the hills fade, we left wondering, was it all just a story? Or are some myths more real than we dare to believe? If you enjoyed this chilling tale, be sure to like, share and subscribe for more spooky campfire stories. And remember, the next time you're out in the wild, watch your step. You never know what might be watching you. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe in the shadows.